years, I've been living full-time in my motorhome. My parents passed away, and I was kind of in a transition point in my life. Since then, I've been traveling around the country, and I like it. It's a lifestyle that I'm grateful for. It allows me the freedom to travel around and see places that I've never seen before. It's given me physical freedom. It's also given me some psychological freedom too. And psychological freedom is really the most important thing. For many years prior to me hitting the road and living the RV life, I was in really limiting circumstances in my life. It's a long, long story. Maybe I'll talk about it sometime. But for many, many years of my life, I was kind of trapped in circumstances where I was surrounded by people who were so different from myself that the only way that I could really function and survive, I had to suppress my individuality in a really, really significant way. I just grew so accustomed to living like that after a while it just became normal. I didn't realize that I was really kind of psychologically imprisoned in many ways. Although secretly, privately, I always maintained my own individuality. It was something that I didn't feel that I could express. I pretty much spent my whole life being told how I'm supposed to be. And I say supposed to in air quotes because that's totally subjective, isn't it? I've come to realize that the way that I'm supposed to be is just myself, just like everybody else. Probably starting especially in adolescence. I've always felt different from other people. Now I realize in adolescence that's pretty typical. But for me that never really went away. Well, first of all, I'm an introvert. And my guess is at least half the population, or maybe close to it, are introverts. It's just that in certain cultures, particularly Western culture, especially American culture, extroversion is considered the social ideal. So introverts are made to feel like there's something wrong with them. In many Eastern cultures, like Asian cultures, introversion is considered the social ideal. Certain introverted types of personality traits or way of behaving. And so extroverts are made to feel like there's something wrong with them. My whole life I've received a message from other people that it's not okay to be an introvert or it's not okay to be me. I swear it wasn't until I was like in my 30s that I could even say the word introvert, because prior to that, most of my life, just saying that I was an introvert was like the equivalent of saying that I had herpes or schizophrenia or some horrible, shameful disease, because that's how other people made me feel. Nobody came right out and said that, of course, but that's the message that I received. Now, anytime that I've ever taken those personality tests, whatever they are, there's the Myers-Briggs personality test, and there's a lot of different kinds, I'm always an off-the-charts introvert, okay? I'm like the queen of the introverts. So I remember at one point in time, I was attending a church, and there was some program that I was going to do. Anyway, everybody took a personality test. And I remember the minister saying that for years he hated those personality tests because in divinity school, he was told that he had the wrong personality. I'm assuming he probably tested as an introvert, but I knew exactly what he was talking about because for years I hated those personality tests because I'm always an off-the-charts introvert. It just seemed like confirmation that there was something wrong with me for being an introvert. I can even remember in school, there'd be kids taking the personality test. Yay, I'm an extrovert! And then they look at mine, and they're like, oh, wow, that's unfortunate for you that you were born with the wrong personality. That's just the message that I've always received from other people, without people coming right out and saying it. That kind of added to the complex that I had most of my life about feeling different from other people. Gradually, as I got older, I started feeling more comfortable and more confident with myself. It wasn't until I was like in my 30s, like I said, that I could even acknowledge or admit to the fact that I was an introvert. And I can remember telling people that I'm an introvert, and they'd say, oh, well, you're able to communicate with me. Okay, just because I'm an introvert doesn't mean that I can't communicate with people. There's that misconception that people have. It's really introverts meet people before I really feel comfortable around them. I'm aware of the fact that in certain social situations, I tend to come across as rather mousy. And I'm really not as mousy as what I come across as. Anytime that I act like a real person with feelings, people practically fall off their chair. I guess this is an introvert thing. I'm sure other introverts have had to deal with this. As an introvert, people are always surprised that you have feelings. They're surprised when they find out you're human. I've always gotten a lot of the "I can't believe you're human" responses from other people, especially when I express anger. But even when I express any normal human emotion, when people find out that I have anything going for me, when people find out anything positive about me, I always get the "I can't believe you're human" reaction. It's always made me feel so freaking uncomfortable. And I never understood why, because most of the time I get the impression that people are happy about it. But it always made me feel like a freak, because apparently that meant that prior the person didn't think I was human. And it made me feel so uncomfortable that I wouldn't want to come out of my shell. I would just think, okay, these people expect mousy, I'll give them mousy. I don't want to shock anybody. And that was to my detriment. It really kept me from having closer relationships with people. It kept other people from really getting to know me. It kept me from really being able to be myself. It just feels so uncomfortable when we step outside of other people's expectations for us. We know what other people expect from us, more of the same, right? What I'm doing right now is stepping outside of other people's expectations for me, even my expectations for myself, and it feels uncomfortable. And I'm sure that it's probably going to be uncomfortable to people who know me. People are allowed to evolve, try new things, and step outside of the box. For many years of my life, I had a lot of resentment towards other people, especially my family, because I felt like they put me in a box. Oh, you're like this. This is how you are. And that made me feel like, oh, well, I'm in a box. I can't step out of my box. Eventually, I realized that the only person who could put me in a box is me. I finally realized that other people's perceptions of me can't control me. It doesn't have any relevancy to who I am, and it can't control me unless I allow it to. But you know what I'm talking about when you do something that, you're trying to experiment with your own self-development, do something different than what you've done before or what other people expect from you. And people will say things like, oh, well, that's not the kind of thing that you do. And then most of the time, in response to that, we just get back in our box. We don't have to do that. You can just say, well, I'm doing it, so apparently I am the kind of person who does something like this. And once I finally realized that, I let go of my resentment towards other people. And I realized that it wasn't other people and other people's perceptions of me that kept me in a box. It was myself. It was me allowing other people's perceptions of me to keep me